Hi guys, welcome back. Today you're in for a real treat. This YouTuber's channel is called Unbearably Me, and the story he's going to share is how he feels about his obesity issue. So it's very, very touching. I want you guys to check this out right now.
All right, so this is a topic that I need to get off my chest because I've been asked by people about it. Try to get through it without crying or try to get through it without showing too much anger because it's a topic that I'm really passionate about. And what I'm going to talk about is normalizing obesity, or people who glamorize it otherwise. I guess I should start by telling you guys a little bit about myself because you all really don't know much. I grew up in a really poor family, like so poor that we used baby formula to make biscuits and gravy because we couldn't afford milk. That kind of poor. I was a really skinny kid for a long time because I was malnourished and didn't have the food that I needed. So part of what went into me overeating and binge eating was getting to a point where I could have access to food, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to eat. Another thing that played into it was being picked on in school. I was a really quiet, reclusive kid who nobody knew at the time I was being physically abused by my father. They bothered to ask. The school system back then wasn't probably as good as it is now. When I talk about abused, I mean, my dad was a drunk, so I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it was physical, mental, and other aspects that I'm not going to cover in this video because it's personal. Anyway, that went heavily into me eating because eating was comfort for me. And a lot of people don't understand. They just think a lot of people just see a fat person. And they think, oh, he or she could just stop and they could just eat healthy. And it's not as simple as that. I mean, dieting is easy. Dieting is easy. Exercising is easy. Going and walking every day is easy. What's not easy is confronting your inner demons and telling yourself that you're worth it, that you deserve a better quality of life, because it took me 36 years to realize that I had pretty much destroyed myself, and I was tired of it, and I am tired of it. And then you have the perceived helpful side of the spectrum, which was people in my family telling me it's okay to be big, it's okay to be fat. And when in actuality, the people who do this, they don't realize that what they're doing is telling these people that are going through the things that I went through, that I still struggle with sometimes, that it's okay to be fat, that it's okay to feel depressed, it's okay to be suicidal, it's okay to not care about yourself, it's okay to hide all the pain that you feel in something that's unhealthy for you.
I just want to touch on one thing. When I was young, we were poor as well, and I would go to friends' houses and we would look in their cabinets, and they always had really a lot of good foods, right, to choose from, a lot of cereal to choose from, a lot of goodies. And so one of the things that I wanted to do when I became 16 and got my first job is I wanted to always have snack foods around, because to me, snack foods were synonymous with making it in life, as horrible as that sounds. And so when he says in his story that, when he was little, he was actually super duper skinny because he was always hungry. There wasn't very much food to go around. His dad was a drunk. When your dad's a drunk and you're starving and you want to go up to your dad and say, throw a pizza in the oven, we're starving. But when you're dealing with somebody like that, it's like dealing with the devil. I can totally understand where he's coming from. And I'm so sorry that he went through this.
Stop. Stop. Take time. If you're not, take time to somebody you're doing this to and sit down to them and talk to them and ask them why they eat the way they do. Ask them how they're feeling. Ask them how they feel about their quality of life. Anyone who can sit there and tell you to your face that they enjoy living the way that I've been living are liars. Because there's nothing fun about waking up and looking in a mirror and hating what you see. There's nothing fun about waking up and you can barely dress yourself. or the fact that you're embarrassed because nobody ever talks about how hard it is to wipe when you're obese because you can't reach. You're just too damn big.
Could you imagine in front of the world telling these intimate details of your life, right? These challenges that he has to deal with. I mean, a lot of people go to the bathroom every single day. Could you imagine having to deal with his humiliation, you know? So again, whenever people cut you off in the road, whenever people give you an attitude, whenever people are being angry and you don't understand why it's directed to you, it's okay to stick up for yourself, obviously. But keep in mind, people might be going through a really miserable time in their life. So try to give people the benefit of the doubt if you can.
I want to say that me going to the hospital and almost dying was what changed, but honestly, it's not, because when that happened, I came home for a week and I sulked and I just ate even more. What changed is just me one day waking up and I was like, you know what? This isn't okay. I don't want to die like this. I might not leave a legacy on this world. I might not inspire millions of people to go out and do something great with their lives, because everyone is capable of it. You might think that you're not special. You might think that you don't deserve certain things. And the only reason why you don't is because you're believing in them. You got to take what you want in this world and you got to work for it. And I'll be damned if I sit around and let people tell me what I can or can't do. And that goes for the people who think they're being supported by saying it's okay to be fat, because it's not. And I'm not talking about a little bit overweight, okay? I'm talking about the underlying issues that come with being overweight and obesity in itself. It's not as simple as just, oh, I'm eating a shit ton because I'm eating a shit ton. Some people do have binging problems, but there's always underlying issues, and 9 times out of 10 it's psychological. And this is coming from somebody who was 508 pounds, honestly probably heavier than that at some point. But I woke up one day and I decided, you know what, this isn't what I want. I'm tired of not being able to stand up. Couldn't even take a shower for 5 to 10 seconds without feeling like I was going to pass out in the shower because I couldn't breathe. It was basically crushing my insides, my knees. I recently had a job that I accepted to be on a bus helping seniors go to appointments, and I had to quit the first day because despite all the weight that I've lost, I cannot kneel. I can't. And you have to kneel to fasten people into wheelchairs. I can't do it. The pain on my joints with this much weight, I cannot kneel. Maybe if I was younger or if I was taller, I could handle it. But you got to know to listen to your body. And it broke my heart to tell them I had to quit. But I'm the kind of person I give my all. And if I can't give my all in something, I'm just not going to do it. And I see people on YouTube who have a huge platform who glamorize overeating, who glamorize the culture of fat acceptance. Why do we do this? Why? Why do people do this? Why do people make a comedy out of it? It's not funny. If you truly care about the person you're watching, it's not funny watching them eat themselves to death. There's nothing attractive about it. It's not sexy. It's hurtful and it's shameful. And it's ridiculous. We as a society like to form groups that support stuff like this for whatever reason, because it amuses us, I guess. But what about when that person dies? I'm not going to be a victim to it. And you shouldn't want people you love to either. That's all I have to say about it.
Was that powerful or what? You know what he needs? He needed to be in my age group, mid to late 40s, when you had the get in shape doll, right? And you had these people like Richard Simmons that got on TV with people every single day and exercised with people. And we had people that were overweight back then, but they grew up thinking they could change things for the better. Now we tell people you're fighting an uphill battle that you're never going to win. Diets never work. This and that never work. You're meant to be who you are. Here's a medication. Here's a surgery. I think he is doing a wonderful thing by sharing his story. If you agree with me, go to his channel, subscribe to Unbearably Me. I'll link it in our description. There's one thing I know to do, kid, and I know that you're already doing it because he is. He's walking. So why don't you guys go get your shoes? Let's go for a walk. Hi guys, this is Jesse. I'm so excited to say that we have 17 days left until we start our second 90-day challenge. We have a few rules with this walking challenge. Number 1, we walk every single day. Number 2, we drink water every single day. Number 3, we avoid sugar every single day. Number 4, if we break any of the first 3 rules, we make sure we obey the other 2. Sometimes the challenge is hard, and sometimes it ain't that bad. But I can do this, you can do this, we can do this, let's do this. Welcome to Walk, Talk, Vent. Good morning, Venters. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Can you believe it's already Wednesday? Yeah, neither can I, because it's only Tuesday for me. Can you believe it? Every time I have an extended weekend because of a holiday, they seem to go just as fast as the regular 2-day weekends do. The good thing that I notice about these holidays is that usually when you have an extended weekend and you come back and your first day of work is on a Tuesday, right? Usually it's a situation where the 4-day week that you now have still goes pretty quick. So the good news is whenever you have a 3-day weekend, it usually makes the following week at work that much quicker, right? So again, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. What's interesting is on a 5-day week, Wednesday's hump day, but to Venters, Thursday is hump day because we work on a 7-day week. Which, by the way, I'm kind of curious. Were any of you guys afraid when you guys first started listening to the channel? Were any of you guys a little reluctant when it came to the idea of walking every single day? Because sometimes when people think about something that's an everyday task, they get a little intimidated and start to tell themselves, I don't want to sign off on something like that. But you guys want to know something? When you enjoy something immensely, like I enjoy walking, and hopefully some of you do as well, it doesn't really seem like a chore at all. It just seems like something that you want to do, you know? And the incredible thing about a half-hour walk is that it goes so quickly, especially if you go in the morning when you're still half asleep. You know, it literally feels like it wakes you up, not unlike a cup of coffee, but, you know, it's a lot cheaper than a cup of coffee, right? And, you know, the reality is if you can make it a part of your life, it doesn't seem like a chore at all. So imagine adding something that you absolutely love to your day, and it has all these health benefits on top of it all. And then I don't know about you guys, but I noticed right away with my walking, and I didn't have anybody that told me, hey, Jesse, jump into your think tank, but with you, you guys do have that because I'm always telling you to. But what I noticed is I just naturally wanted to start problem solving. You know, when you're moving and your blood's pumping and flowing, you can just think of these amazing ideas that I don't think you would have come up with otherwise, you know? It's just like talking. If you ever have a walking partner, you'll notice that for some reason your conversations can really flow while you're talking. I remember when I was in grade school in this neighborhood, I remember I would walk to school with my buddy Matt Smith, and I'd occasionally walk to school with Jason Hensley, a couple of my different buddies and stuff. And Jason Hensley's my buddy that passed away a couple years ago, but we used to walk to school occasionally together for grade school. And I just remember that even in that little 4 or 5 minute walk to school, it seemed like there was a million topics we would talk about, you know? And this goes back to what we were talking about the other day, that when we only had 2 or 3 channels on television, half the time we would be talking about the game that we watched, over the weekend, or, the show that we watched Sunday evening, or whatever the case might be. But either way, there was always something to talk about. Ooh, what do you think of Becky at school? Isn't she the cutest, Yeah, Becky's cute. I absolutely love the morning walk. What you can do is you can really kind of set up your week in your mind. You can say, you know what? I think this week we're going to make spaghetti, and I think we're going to make pork chops, and maybe I'll see if Grandma Carla wants to come over. Grandma Carla, we're going to make spaghetti. You want to come over and have some spaghetti with us? I'm going to make my famous garlic bread. God, I don't know about you, but that's probably one of my favorite meals. The old spaghetti, a little meat sauce, some garlic bread. Right now, everybody with a diet is like, no, that's the worst thing you could eat. What's interesting that I've noticed that some of you guys are probably noticing is, as your body is getting smaller and smaller, as you're becoming healthier and healthier, all those foods that are taboo that we talk about constantly on this show, all those foods become more doable. Do you want to do them as you get healthier? Not really. You want to stay on the right path, but at the same time, we all know in our hearts there's going to be a point in the future where we have a bowl of spaghetti. And I don't know about you, but you would have to pay me a lot of money for me to ditch out forever on spaghetti. That's what's the problem with a lot of these restrictive diets. You have to ask yourself, do I really plan on not eating vegetables for the rest of my life? Or on the other side, do I really plan on never eating meat as a protein for the rest of my life? Those are things that are just kind of unfathomable for me. And I bet they are for a lot of you guys, And I'll put sweets in that very same category. Are you really ready to commit to not eating sweets for the rest of your life? It's not necessarily the easiest thing to contemplate, and it's not necessarily possible even if you did make such a goal, But again, I don't know if this world would have been such a fun place if we would have grown up without, Grandma's chocolate chip cookies. There's this company, I'm sure you guys have heard of it, it's called Mrs. Fields. And I used to go into the mall, and on one side of the mall you would smell Cinnabon, which was just heavenly, right? But as you worked your way to the opposite side of the mall, in that quarter they usually had Mrs. Fields chocolate chip cookies. So you've got these heavenly smells coming from one side, and these heavenly smells coming from the other side, and it just makes going to the mall so much fun. Where I feel bad about today's generation that's growing up is they're not going to have those same memories. I'm sure some of the little ones will grow up saying, I kind of remember this mall that my mom took me to when I was a little boy or a little girl, right? But I think there's going to be a day in the future where we no longer have malls. And there's something that's really, really disappointing about that. Because like I said, when I was growing up, me and my buddies, we would go down to the mall, watch a movie, and meet people. You'd meet people at the arcade, or you'd meet people at the ice skating rink, or at the food court. And that's just not going to happen anymore. And it used to be that about half of us would meet our significant others at work, because you would work with them and you would get to meet them in a way that was greater than just what a person looked like. You would get to literally see them as a person. And then in many cases, you would end up, making them your partner or your significant other. And nowadays we live in a world where that doesn't happen. That's not possible. And if you do try to meet your significant other at work, it could really lead to a lot of trouble that you don't necessarily want to deal with. So again, if I was growing up brand new in this world, if you could somehow transform me into a 5 or 6-year-old with my thoughts now, number one, that would be one dangerous 5 or 6-year-old, right? But I don't know if what I would do. I suppose that I would know, start downloading the apps and everything. But could you imagine as a 5 and 6-year-old, you're trying to get a hold of your mom's cell phone to download apps? Crazy, huh? Absolutely crazy. God, could you imagine if you did go back to kindergarten or first grade and you had your adult mind? Oh my God, that would just be crazy. You have these adult thoughts, but you're in this little kindergartner's body. That would be horrible, right? And then could you imagine if your kids were at school with a kindergartner that had adult thoughts? Oh my God, you don't even want to think about such a thing. But when I grew up, video games were not something that you played with somebody on the other side of the planet. You played maybe a 2-player game with your buddy, or you played a 1-player game, and that was it. Now you can play with people all around the world, and it's been like that for the last 20 years or so. Now, when you go to the mall and stuff, a lot of times you don't even buy anything. I see people that'll go to the mall, they'll find a pair of clothing that they like, and again, I've done this before too, so I'm a little guilty of it. And then you'll get your phone and you'll see if it's cheaper online. And if it's $5, $10, $15 cheaper online, guess where you're gonna buy it? Online, And so we have a situation where, would you even want to put your store in a mall in today's world? So if everybody's discouraged from, putting their store in a mall, other than Apple, God, the only store in every mall that is packed constantly are these Apple stores. And it's a little bit crappy. I'm an Android user, right? And I'm sure if I was an Apple user, I would love those Apple cafes or whatever the heck they're called. But man, the makeup of the world has changed, and it's just, to me, it seems really sad and depressing. So you're telling me that pretty much going forward, unless you want to break rules at your work, and unless you, get introduced to Becky by your buddy Dale, basically everybody's going to be meeting on these dating apps. And I don't know if you've ever heard about these dating apps from a man's point of view, but with a lot of these apps, it can be really, really difficult for guys to even connect with women, If you're not making 6 figures, if you're not 6 foot tall, if you're not absolutely the most gorgeous, photogenic guy, man, I think I heard somewhere, and I'm sure you guys have heard this too, that 1 out of 3 guys is in their 30s now, and they've never had a girlfriend, and they've never had a significant relationship in their life. Guys, that can't be good. That cannot be good, And then on the flip side with women, I hear a lot of you guys are dating the same dudes. Have you heard about this phenomena? Because women tend to swipe away from so many potential suitors that they might have given a chance to in a world where you meet somebody in person, they end up swiping to the guy that is 6'2", that is, making 6 figures, that looks like he has a 6-pack, right? And they're giving these guys the opportunity to date them. And what's happening in a lot of these cases is these women are dating the same guys. So you have this really weird dynamic. If you're in your 50s or 60s and you're married, look over at your husband. If he's over 6 foot, if he's making good money and stuff, there's a good chance that you would have still liked him in today's world, right? But if he's your average guy, which most guys do end up becoming your average guy, there's a good chance that in today's world, you would have never given your husband a chance. And there's something really, really sad about that, Now, I know that when I was growing up, people would always say, meet somebody in the church or whatever, From what I understand, church attendance is down across the board. Which seems a little weird because on Sunday when I drive by different churches and stuff, a lot of times their parking lots are full. So I don't know if that just means people are going in there to be with family, but they don't necessarily believe what they're hearing, or what. I don't know if it means that when they pass the basket around, I don't know if it means that there's less and less money in there to work with for the church. I have no idea. Man, I remember when I was little and the first time I saw the basket go around, and you've got this basket filled with, $1 bills, $5 bills. Occasionally you'd see a 20 or 100 in there, right? And it's just like, whoa, I could grab into this at any time. Never did. But the funny thing is, in movies, a lot of times, especially if it's a comedy, they'll show somebody reach into that basket and take out a 20. And it always makes us chuckle and giggle because we all thought about that when we were little, right? And seeing that basket of money come around. And then occasionally you'll hear a story on Dateline, right? Where one of the church members is stealing money out of the baskets and stuff. And it's like, oh my goodness, always something. Dateline is one of those shows that you can watch a brand new Dateline, or you could watch a Dateline on cable that's 10 years old, and they're still pretty good. It's amazing whenever you think about the criminal mind and how many things that people are capable of doing when it comes to doing no good in life, right? Do you ever watch a show and you think to yourself, God, if that criminal would have set their mind to doing good, they would have been a millionaire in life. But instead they use their genius to do these low-handed criminal things, thieving. I think some thieves are so good at it that they do it for the challenge, I've watched movies like that. You've watched movies like that too, right? Where, maybe they're an international crime ring and they start showing what they're doing to get all the money out of a bank or whatever, like Ocean's 11, for example. Basically casinos are giant banks if you think about it. And when you watch Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12, right, you can't help but think, wow, this is an amazing movie. I want the bad guy to win, But the reality is life isn't like Ocean's 11, You shouldn't really want the bad guy to win. But at the same time, the reason we like movies like Ocean 11 is because we don't necessarily look at the casino like a good guy. So it has this Robin Hood type aspect to it, right? Like we're okay with the bad guy getting robbed. And in a weird way, that's what the casino is. I've never seen this in person, but I've heard about it endless number of times. That if you're in the casino and you're consistently winning, let's say at blackjack, you're consistently winning, I've always been told that they'll actually ask you to leave. You are not expected nor wanted to win when you go at the casino. Again, I've never seen this, but have any of you? Have you ever been there and then a guy was killing it on the blackjack table and they asked him to leave? It's not illegal to count cards, right? You're supposed to be allowed to count cards, but you're not allowed to win counting cards. So in other words, you're really discouraged from card counting, right? But there are some guys and girls out there that legitimately can card count. And even if there's 3, 4, 5 decks in the hopper, apparently there's people that know how to card count. Hey, speaking of casinos, I went to a casino yesterday and I lost, but I didn't lose in a traditional let's put some money into a slot machine or let's go sit at a poker table and lose some money. It wasn't like that. I heard that the Indiana Pacers were, like 5,000 to 1 to win the championship because they were down 3-0 to the Boston Celtics. And I don't know about you, but when you're trying to bet on the lottery If you bet $50 on the lottery, like buying $50 worth of quick pick tickets or Powerball tickets, you're probably going to lose all 50 bucks, right? But if you bet on sports, you're betting on a human being. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not good to be betting on sports. You can lose your rent and a lot of money, but I just wanted a situation where I could bet on an extreme underdog. Because when you're betting on human beings, there's always a chance, that they could do something special and win the bet for you. So I put 50 bucks down on the Indiana Pacers to win the championship. And if they would have won, I would have turned that $50 into, get this, $25,000. So could you imagine, guys? $50 bet. If Indiana wins 4 games in a row against the Celtics, I end up winning $25,000. And actually it was different than that. They had to win the 4 games against the Celtics, and then they would have to play the Mavericks in the final and beat the Dallas Mavericks, however they would do it. They would have to win the championship. But unfortunately, in game 4 against the Celtics, they were up by like 5 points with like a minute and a half left, and somehow they blew the game and lost. So there's 50 bucks that was just thrown away. But at the same time, one time, me and my friend Billy, back in 6th grade, he had a channel called Showtime. And I know Showtime nowadays just shows a lot of reruns of boring movies from the 80s. I don't even know why we have some of these worthless cable channels now. But back in the day, it would show boxing. And back in the day, there was this guy named Mike Tyson that was this young 20-something that just was unbeatable, right? And the way he fought was very scary, because he would just knock people out, usually within a minute, And me and my friend Billy watched, and we both said, you know what? We want Buster Douglas to win this fight. It was the fight where he was fighting Buster Douglas. And sure enough, he ended up beating Mike Tyson. And so from that day forward, I always just absolutely loved the underdog. Now, growing up, me and my grandma would root for the Phoenix Suns, and they would play like the Celtics, or they would play like the Lakers, and they would always lose. So I appreciated the underdog role, but I didn't really understand it until Buster Douglas fought Mike Tyson. And in case you're not a fan of boxing and these names don't ring a bell, just imagine Mike Tyson as the Goliath and picture Buster Douglas as David. Everyone is expecting Mike Tyson to win, and some way, somehow, Buster Douglas ends up winning. But if I remember the story right, Buster Douglas had a situation where I believe his mother had passed away like the week or the month before. And apparently he and his mom were really close and really tight. And apparently he used that death as inspiration for him to beat Mike Tyson. And let's face it, whenever an underdog beats a champion or something, I think we all kind of get a little bit of excitement out of it, like, yes, it's possible, And that was the situation. So how can we take this to our plan here? Well, the plan here states that we were all underdogs when we started on day 1. People thought we would quit. Heck, you might have thought you would quit, right? But then luckily what we found out is a couple weeks into it, that getting together each day and wishing each other a happy walk and stuff, it's kind of what makes the teamwork work, right? Teamwork is the dream work. What's that saying? But anyway, all of a sudden, you start to realize that, hey, this is still a battle. I've been walking for, 2 months, and I'm not losing that much, but, I am 5-6 pounds down on the scale. That's the equivalent of Buster Douglas starting to win the fight. And at the end of this fight, I already know the outcome. The outcome is the underdog wins in our fight. But you know what? once you become the champion, you're no longer the underdog. So what's going to happen is you're not only going to lose 5, 6, 7 pounds, we're going to continue this. And over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, you're going to lose probably another 15 or 20 pounds. And each time you lose that weight, losing more and more weight is actually going to more than likely become easier and easier. Your appetite, it's going to start to suppress, not because you're fighting it, but you're just going to start noticing in the morning that you don't really have those hunger pains anymore. Those hunger pains were the thing that was driving you into the kitchen to make yourself bacon and eggs, to make yourself a bowl of cereal, to make yourself French toast. All those first meals of the day that you guys were enjoying, in many cases, they were making your weight problem more of a weight problem, you know? We are at the good point of our plan. That's what's so exciting. Is it put up or shut up, Jesse? Well, Bob, not necessarily. Because again, this isn't a 90-day challenge. Yes, that's how we threw it out to the YouTubers of the world, right? We wanted people to see it as a fun challenge because sometimes people like taking part in challenges. But as you guys are starting to see now, it's not really a challenge when it's just something you enjoy doing. And as far as drinking soda and eating sugar, I suppose after you lose 20 or 30 pounds, you could go back to that life. But now you're going back to that life with a plan. And your plan is, hey, if you can stay away from the sugar, you should be able to continue to lose more and more weight. But if you do end up taking part in eating stuff that's sweet, you know, let's see if this go round you can control yourself a little bit more, you know? Can you abide by the 2/3 rule? If you have a Coke, can you get used to taking or leaving the Coke? Believe it or not, 3 or 4 weeks out of the year, I will have a soda. But after I have a soda, I usually just go right back to tea or water or high C. I always stay away from soda long term. And when you're drinking a high C or a sweet tea, yes, those are habit forming, right? You can get to the point where you enjoy those sweet liquids all the time, no different than soda. But they're a little bit easier to get away from than soda. You got to remember, soda has not only sugar that's addictive, but it has the caffeine in it too. That's why I tell you guys that if you're drinking coffee, see if you can go from 2 or 3 packs of sugar and 2 or 3 creams. See if you can cut that down to just 1 packet of sugar. Or, you know, believe it or not, if you can cut that down to none, that's a win, you know? So I'm really excited. Mala, Lily, Lupe, a lot of you guys are going to really start noticing that every time you jump onto the scale, you're going to be another 1.5, 2.5 pounds down. And that's probably going to happen consistently going forward. So when someone tells you, hey, you're not going to see a difference till 45 or 60 days, that doesn't mean that when 45 or 60 days pops around, you know, that I'm going to come up and say, oh, wait another 45 or 60 days. While there are some people that it takes longer, the rest of you guys and most of you, you're going to start noticing it now. That's what's so exciting. I expect to hear some people saying, you know what, Jesse's right. I just got on the scale again, and for the 3rd week in a row, I lost 1.5 or 2.5 pounds. And before you know it, a lot of us are going to start saying, hey, I didn't lose 5 or 6 pounds, Jesse. I lost 24 pounds. I'm down 12 pounds. I'm down 19 pounds. These are all wins. And even if you've only lost 5 or 6 pounds, guys, that's a victory. Have you ever seen pictures of people holding up what a 1-pound chunk of fat looks like? It's pretty gnarly. And if you're losing 3, 4, 5 1-pound nuggets of fat, that is super duper impressive. And you're going to start fitting into clothes that have been in your closet untouched for a long time. And you're going to look at your clothes that you've been wearing the last couple months and you're going to say, what the heck am I supposed to do with these clothes? Because it sucks when you look at clothes that you spent good money on and now you have to give them away. So here's that one bit of advice that I always tell people, and I hate giving it to them, but the reality is some people end up quitting their walks. Some people end up quitting the idea of ditching sugar and their walks, and they go right back to putting weight on, right? It's just a fact. Some of us do that. So what I would recommend you do, as horrible as this sounds, is I would recommend that you hold on to those clothes for a little while. Make sure that this walking thing is something that you're going to do forever. I can wish that you walk with me forever. You can say that you're going to walk forever. But if you have super duper nice clothes, I don't think it would hurt to keep them in the closet for another 6 months just to make sure that you're going to stick to your routine. And I think what you'll find out is that even though you're doing a little bit of an insurance move by not throwing away or getting rid of your old clothes, I think you'll be getting rid of them soon enough. Because in another 6 months to a year, you're going to be so withdrawn from where you are now that it'll just make sense to get rid of those old clothes. When you get down to a point as a guy where you're a waist size 32 or 33, then it makes absolutely no sense to keep the clothes that are waist size 40 or 38, right? Because that's the type of change that happens to me when I go from 185 to, let's say, 155. You literally go from a waist size 38, or at least I do, all the way down to a waist size 32. So I had a situation where at the start of this challenge, I had literally probably 15 pairs of shorts and pants where it's waist size 32. And here your boy is at waist size 36, 37, 38. I had to go on this diet just so I didn't have to throw away my clothes. But speaking of throwing away your clothes, don't throw away your walk. If you don't have work today, or if you have another hour before work starts, contemplate taking one more lap around the block. And have a wonderful day. Weigh yourself. You're going to notice that you've lost a couple more pounds. Tell us how much you've lost altogether in the comments. Have a great day.